Now from Louisiana Tech, we have head coach Sonny Cumbie, defensive back Cedric Woods, and offensive lineman Landon Nelson. Again, raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll pass a mic to you. We'll start with you, Coach.
Well, on behalf of Louisiana Tech, our administration, Dr. Jim Henderson, Ryan Ivey, our athletic director, and really all of our players, we're excited to be here, at the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Very, very appreciative of Missy Setters, Sarah Giglio, giving that phone call to us on the Sunday, inviting us back. We've had an unbelievable week here. I think our players have had so many opportunities to not only interact with with others, but to interact within themselves in the terms of our team. And so I think there's been a lot of growth from that. I think there's been a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, and just been fortunate for us to be able to have this opportunity and this earned opportunity that our guys have had. And so just unbelievable hospitality. I've said this before, and when you're trying to recruit or bring people to your institution, I think that the ultimate thing that sells an institution is the people. And I think Louisiana Tech, we have some of the finest people they're out there in terms of our players, in terms of the support, in terms of our leadership, from an athletic administration, all the way up to the top in terms of Dr. Henderson. And I think that from an institution that makes Louisiana Tech a really rich place. And so I think that I use that to share, with this bowl game. It's 49 years of a bowl game. I mean, that's amazing. You're doing something right. And it's the people that are involved in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl who've made this experience so great for our coaches, for their wives, for their families, for our players. And so you truly feel and sense, the excitement, the genuineness of the people that are in charge here and have put on such a great event. And we're very excited and looking forward to really the capstone event of this week. And that's the football game tomorrow afternoon. And we've had really a great month of prep, a lot longer than we had last year, in this situation. And we're excited to be here, earning our way into this game and look forward to the opportunity to compete one more time together.
And Ruston Daily Leader, Coach, when we last talked to you, you mentioned obviously it was a month off from play. You wanted to talk about just keeping the guys fresh. I'm curious specifically, how did you keep the guys fresh and obviously ready for a game for the first time in a month?
Yeah, you haven't played a game in a month, and I think Coastal's in the same situation. A lot of these bowl teams, everybody that's playing a bowl game, for the most part, you haven't played in a long time, and so I think the plan that you put in place is really important. And so there's the balance of making sure that our kids, from a physical capacity, can be able to handle a 4-quarter game from a conditioning standpoint. But you also want them to enjoy it, and I think that's part of the thing too. Is development of guys that maybe haven't played or has repped as much throughout the course of the year. So how do we get those guys better right now in terms of banking those reps for the spring and then also for next season? How do we keep these guys? I mean, you got a guy that's 58 games. I mean, he's playing 58 games in college. You got a guy that's playing 33 games in college. This guy's a unicorn, man. It'll never happen again in college football. 58 games, career games at one institution, 33 here. Just phenomenal people, great players. And so, how do you make it fun for them? Because they've been doing it for a long time. But also keep them razor sharp for the opportunity that they're going to have tomorrow. And so I think the plan with Coach Scholes and our staff, I feel like we put together a really good plan. And then like most of the plans that are put together, the players that execute them are what's most important. And so we've had a good time of development, a good time of crossover work, good on good to keep guys sharp because Coastal Carolina is a very physical football team and they're a good football team. And so we've got to be ready, in terms of a physicality and also in terms of conditioning for that. And so I feel like our plan has been good, and we'll find out tomorrow, in terms of how well we execute it.
Coach, one of the fun things. And I've checked TMZ over the last few years, and I assumed you've never been tased. I haven't heard about it, but I know we're here to talk about football. But that was one of the craziest things I've seen. Tell people who have never been tased before what the heck that was like.
Roy, I think I was some form or fashion, it was probably bound to happen probably in my earlier years. And so it was just making up for whenever I was in college. Probably, it was, I don't want to ever be, especially the things that are going on in college coaching today, I don't want to ever show up on TMZ for the wrong reason. I think that, how it happened is I broke my own rule because we were here last year, and I knew if you got into the heat, the fire zone, I tried to stay on the other side of the hangar, away from the tasing station, because I knew if I got too close to the fire zone, what was going to happen. The mob mentality started, and so these guys started I think it was one of our assistant coaches started the Cumbie chant, and I'm sure these guys probably jumped in on it too. And I'm talking to Jacob, and I'm trying to keep my back turned to the group, so maybe they'll stop chanting, but all of a sudden it just comes closer and closer and closer. And fortunately, it was the right frame of mind for me in terms of the practice day. You know, I was ticked off about player issues or whatever we had to deal with, so I was like, let's go do it. And it's the longest 5 seconds of my life. It was miserable, and I do not recommend doing it. And I would subscribe. I would not want to do it again. So, but you know, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity, hopefully. And you know, like I said, I probably had it coming. I'm sure some of our players really delighted in it. So, you know, and they probably rightfully so.
Coach Bruce Howard with Bowl Season Radio. How is your defense different under Coach Johnson, who's on the opposite side today or tomorrow, and under Coach Olson? How is it different?
Yeah, I think from a structure standpoint, they're very similar, you know, in terms of the 3 safety look. I think some of the things that we're able to do from a pressure standpoint are probably a little different. I hope that one of the things that remains the same is you know, the players that make it happen, you know, play really hard. They tackle really well. They do a great job of communicating, and they create takeaways. And so I think those are some of the things that, you know, that I think carry over from year to year. You know, whomever's calling the defense that's what the identity of our defense I want it to be about is a group that flies around, that plays really physical, that tackles really well, creates takeaways, and plays together really, really well as 11.
Obviously, Coach, you know Coach Johnson, so what's that relationship like? And you'll shake hands afterward, but when the game is on, obviously you want to beat the dog out of them.
Yeah, you know, I think that, you know, once he was named the interim at Coastal, like he mentioned a little earlier, I did reach out to him, you know, well before we knew we were playing each other in this bowl game, and I just wanted to encourage him just from the standpoint of being in the situation that he's been in before. And there's about 132 people, you know, that are in this situation in terms of being a head coach, whether it's interim, whether it's full time, and it's hard, and especially in the situation that he walked into, and I know that he's handled it incredibly. I know that the kids have rallied around him because that's the type of coach and leader that he is, and so I just wanted to try to encourage him from that standpoint of making it as enjoyable for these guys as possible, and I'm sure that they have done that, and so he's a phenomenal football coach. He did an unbelievable job with our players while he was here, and he's a great man. He's a really, really good teacher.
And for Cedric, this is game 58 for you. You stayed. What has that experience been? What has the journey been like for you, deciding to stay and deciding to continue in Ruston? What's it been like for you?
It's been an incredible journey. You know, just looking back, reflecting on my last, 6 years of college football, I've just been extremely blessed and grateful for this opportunity. When you really think about it, just guys that get an opportunity to play Division I football, it's very rare. So I'm just grateful every day that I get an opportunity to play this game. I'm super excited, to play in the game, my last game tomorrow, and I hope to end it off with a win.
Hey, Sed, Chris Burge, KSLA out of Shreveport. Hey, Sed, obviously I followed your journey when you were in high school as well, but I saw you declare for the NFL draft earlier this week. How can you use this opportunity in the Independence Bowl to impress scouts?
You just go out there and just do my job. I don't have to go out there and just overcomplicate things. I just got to go out there and just play sharp, and just when I get my opportunity, just make a play.
You stayed here through every single step of the Sonny Cumbie era, and now obviously you have an opportunity to finish with a bowl win, 8 wins. Can you guys just describe, from start to finish, what finishing with 8 wins and a bowl victory would just mean for you, just personally?
Yeah, I would say it'd mean a lot. We've came a long way from where we started for sure. It's been cool to see the change in the culture and everything throughout the last 4 years, and I think, I've been saying it all year. We're the best we've ever been. I think we're as tight as we've ever been as a group. And we're definitely looking forward to go get 8 wins.
And this is Andrew Owen from KSLA. I just wanted to kind of ask you guys, in the last couple of weeks, you guys really got that running game going, especially as an offensive lineman, just being able to set the trenches and kind of set the tone for the game. You guys have some great running backs, and Kukuk, a quarterback, has been aggressive running the ball as well. Just what has kind of gone into that change and getting you guys get things going on the ground?
That we were going to have to do that to win games, and I think we showed up every day at practice with that mentality, and then we took it out there on Saturdays and just played football. It's been fun. We got a really good group in the line room, so I think we got a lot of confidence right now, and we're going to carry that throughout Tuesday.
And I think the other thing too is I think Trey's shoulder is healthy. I think later on, midpoints of the season, he was banged up on his right shoulder, and so I think he's healthy. And then, I think if you look at the last game, if you've watched the last game, I mean, Belson, you saw that last game, right? The conditions in that game were cold. It was 30 degrees. It was raining sideways. It was windy. It was not conducive for us to throw the football. And so that was one of the reasons why in those last two games and that last game that it took on that persona. But the other reason is, like Landon talked about, these guys up front play really well together. They're an aggressive group. They have a great mindset about it. We've got two great running backs that complement each other really well. Trey's done a phenomenal job in the quarterback run game, and I think that I think Tony and Nathan Young, our offensive line coach, and Teddy Ville, they've done a great job week to week as far as putting the game plans together.
The only starters obviously going to play in the secondary. I'm curious, what has the bowl prep been like, just kind of getting those guys that maybe aren't as familiar playing, I guess just kind of up to speed and just comfortable with what you guys are trying to do back there?
It's really just been just reps, just getting those guys reps in the film room, just teaching them, showing them different things. And I feel like we're really prepared on defense, and it's going to be a great challenge. They have a really good offense, really physical receivers on the outside. They do a good job attacking the ball and a great job blocking on the perimeter. So, we'll have a great challenge ahead of us, but we're excited for that challenge.
For Coach and said, the 58 games thing, it's funny, I was looking this up. We had Luke Delafield, local high school kid. He played 54 games, and I was trying to see how many public school quarterbacks had played more. Anyway, so I looked in college. I believe Bo Nix has 60. I think that's the most games in a college career. But outside of the X's and O's, what have you seen in the last 4 years from him, off the field, growing up? He spent 30% of his life as a college football player, basically. And Cedric, what has that been like for you to grow up in college football?
College football, man, it really holds like a special place in my heart because, it taught me so many different lessons. I kind of hit on it in an interview with Ben Carlisle a few weeks ago. Just being on time. Coach always say, look, you be on time, that's half the battle. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, just being on time, being grateful, like just having a positive mindset. And then just being around the guys, it's just been a great thing, college football, just being in that locker room, especially this past year, it's been amazing. Just being around the guys, it's really taught me so much that the lessons that I learned these past 6 years, it's gonna be able to carry me throughout the rest of my life. So I'm just extremely grateful that I got this opportunity.
And I think Luke Delafield's a great player. He had a great career at North DeSoto and a phenomenal player. And I think that I still believe in college athletics and college football as transactional as everything seems to have become and really is in some cases. I still love the game and love to coach because of the transformation that this game affords people. As coaches, these guys, Ced Woods has transformed my life. Landon Nelson has transformed my life. Being around them, being around my kids, being around my wife. There's a lot of days this guy probably didn't like me, right? And we went through that together. And there was a lot of hard days. And then to see 58 games tomorrow, opportunity to win 8 games. You watch when people, you pull up his film and he's not challenged a lot because he's a really good player. And he'll be challenged tomorrow and he'll be challenged moving forward. But, the things that you do on the field and being around Landon and being around Ced and to see the growth, that Ced has had and the time that we've been together, those are things that you can't put a price tag on. And those are things that I'm very, very bullish upon in terms of I love this game. I love the transformation that this game still opportunities provide for people and coaches to be around people like Ced and Landon in our locker room of guys. That's what this game is about. And that's what the joy is seeing in the development in players like Ced and to see how much they've gotten better and better. And he's faced a lot of adversity, a lot of bumps in the road. And man, we've butted heads a bunch. But he trusts me enough to stay the course. He trusted this university enough, and he stands for what Louisiana Tech stands for, from the standpoint of the loyalty. He's got a lot of blue in his collar. Some sucker's a tough worker, man. And so that's what's fun about college athletics, college football, to be able to be around these guys. And like I said earlier, there's not going to be very many guys at one institution, that you're going to see that have played 33 games, that have played 58 games, and not just played, they've played well. We can find a lot of people that can play, but we want guys that can play well. And they've done that. And they've had a huge, huge part of the success that we've had this year, that we'll have next year and moving forward. And that's what a legacy that guys leave is not just plays on the field. It's like, gosh, man, we get back January 5th, and they'll be laughing because I don't have to be in another team meeting, but they'll miss it. But I'll sure will miss them sitting there front row, Joe smiling, sitting right there, Landon looking at me, intent. That's what you miss is their presence, and that's what this game gives us. That's what football gives us. It gives all these teams that are here, and so that's what's fun about this game and this profession. Amidst all of the chaos that goes on, that's the joy that you find in this game.
I was looking through the depth chart. I think Chief has played with like 6 different linebacker combinations this year. Like, how much has his presence in the middle of that defense just been a key for what you guys have been doing?
If you're on the field with Chief, you better have your business in order, or he'll get you lined out pretty quick. So, he is a strong, firm leader. I think that we had a team meeting where guys presented each other letter jackets, and one of the things that him and Colby, they get spoofed on because they're like, they move together wherever they go, and they're so close, and the name Chief is leader of men, and I think he does a phenomenal job of that at linebacker, whether he's playing Mike, Will, that's the primary 2 positions that he plays, but I think he's got some good young talent around him, and with Colby and Chief, being able to model on the field in terms of passion for the game and how they prepare, I think it makes everybody else around them better, and just like when you're anchored in the center of the offensive line with a guy like Landon, it goes out and everybody gets better, and you asked Seth about, the new starters in the secondary. Him and Jakari make guys better, and I think that's also the definition of a leader, is when you're on the field, you make people around you better, irregardless of how many plays you make or don't make.
Cedric, Landon, both of you playing a lot of games while at Louisiana Tech. I just wanted to ask you personally, what has it meant to you guys to be a Louisiana Tech Bulldog?
To me, being a Louisiana Tech Bulldog means everything. Growing up just 30 minutes down the road in Monroe, I told my mom, like, in 7th grade, because, we didn't really have a lot, growing up. And I knew that, if I wanted to get a college education, I was going to have to go be an athlete. And I decided then, I wanted to go play D1 college football. And then, from that point on, I prepared myself, and then being just 30 minutes down the road, like my sister, my cousins, went to Tech. So when I got that opportunity to get a scholarship to go to Tech, it meant the world to me. And being here 6 years, it's just been a great opportunity. I've got my degree here. I'm working on my master's, and so just being a part of this family, living in Ruston, I always say it's like a second home to me. So like Tech holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, kind of piggyback off what Seth said. I'm extremely grateful for Louisiana Tech. Going junior college to start, I kind of had no direction or really even any sort of a dream when I walked on at Iowa Western, and then, the opportunity Coach Cumbie gave me to come down here, and I'm, super glad I took it on a whim. Had no idea, never took a visit down here, never been to Louisiana. I was like, let's go, and then, it paid off, and it's been a great 4 years. The game has given back to me so much, and I'll owe it forever. The amount of the people that we've met, being down here, being in the South, completely different lifestyle than being back home, and it's been great. It's opened my eyes a lot, and I'm extremely grateful for Coach Cumbie, for Sed, for a lot of guys on the team. I've gotten really close with them, and I'm excited to put that jersey on one more time and go get a win.
Just wanted to ask you guys one more question. Being here in Shreveport, you guys are just an hour away from Ruston. You guys have a great fan base out there. Just knowing that you're going to travel here for the Independence Bowl and you're going to have that fan support, what does that mean to you guys, knowing that you're going to have the fans filling up the stands there?
It's a good feeling. It feels like we're playing another home game, really. I'm excited for there to be some Louisiana Tech fans there. Last year there was a good turnout with our fans, and hopefully we give them a lot to cheer about.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be jumping. I'm excited. Those Tech fans, they get a little rowdy. So hopefully they be real rowdy on third downs. Give us some presence out there. So yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited.
About his time at Louisiana Tech, I loved our recruitment of Landon. He played in the Junior College National Championship game, I think, on Saturday, and signing day was, say, Wednesday. and it went dead. And so we offered him a scholarship, and we didn't even have to give him on an official visit, and he signed with us. So the biggest hurdle we had to get was getting his mom comfortable enough with us. But yeah, that was one of the best recruitments, and watching his film and being able to recruit Landon and see his development. But it was a great recruitment, and a lot of stressful times there getting it all put together. But we come to Shreveport, Bossier. Every spring, we lucky number 13, practice number 13 of spring, we come, bring our team to this area because it's that important to us, from an institution standpoint. Obviously, being an hour down the road, you don't ever want to take anything for granted from the standpoint of we want to do everything we can from an alumni to a fan engagement, and part of our job is to get out in the community and to bring our team over here for practice. It's to play winning football, so people are attracted enough to watch us and to continue to come back and watch us. And there's a lot of Louisiana Tech alumni that are in Dallas, that are in East Texas, that are in the Shreveport area, and then obviously in Ruston. I hope they'll be able to come over. And I think the reason why also is obviously I feel so passionate about our players and our football team at Louisiana Tech and what they stand for and how they handle themselves. If you've had an opportunity to engage them, I hope you feel the same. But the same thing. You're playing a great football team in Coastal Carolina, who players have done the same thing, and I think it's going to be a great football game. And so on a 1:00 Independence Stadium, it's going to be a beautiful day from a weather standpoint. It's going to be football weather. I think there's nowhere else you'd rather want to be than in the Independence Stadium watching the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl if you're in this area, because you're going to see two teams that are really, really, really tough, two teams that are well coached, and they're going to play an exciting brand of football.
KGBS out of Shreveport. This is for Landon and Cedric. Your favorite experience so far in the Independence Bowl, and where does Coach getting tased rank in that favorite moment?
I'd probably say Coach getting tased is probably number one in my list. I got the video on my phone, so I'm definitely going to cherish that forever. It's something that, like when you see the guys for like a 10-year reunion or something, and then you had that type of video, it's just like, man, like, look at this. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the Chasing Aces was probably really fun for me last night. We had a speaker in there. We had like a little mini concert and like the little baseball simulator, so that was fun. But like it's been great just being around the guys. It's probably one of the biggest reasons for me coming back. Just being around my teammates. This is a very special group of guys, and I'm excited. To be here. I'm excited for them inviting us back this year. So it's been great.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough to beat watching your head coach get tased. That's probably my favorite experience so far. But, along with said, Chasing Aces was fun last night. A lot of the guys go golf together all the time, so we were getting pretty competitive. And, I think Eli Finley had mentioned earlier in the bowl week that he was the best golfer on the team, which is highly questionable. But I don't want to get into all that right now. But, yeah, it's been great. We love Shreveport. I've been out here a bunch the last 4 years, just being in Ruston. So it's been a great experience. They put on a great bowl game for us.
Who he thinks the best golfer on the team is Landon. And we also had a hole-in-one, I believe, at Chasing Aces on hole number 2. I think John Chance, our punter, hit a hole-in-one. So he came back home. That was a big event for him.
Coach Tim Fletcher with 1130 The Tiger here in Shreveport. Just kind of curious, in the bowl season, how much do you kind of throw the kitchen sink at everything in the offensive game plan, adding little, nooks and crannies, and how much does it go towards keeping the excitement level up for the offense, giving them something fun to kind of look forward to, and how much of it is implemented for we're trying to win the game by any way we possibly can?
Well, Tim, it's great to have you over here today. I'm glad you made it, and it's good to see you. Yeah.
Not breaking any speed limits on the way here by any stretch of the imagination.
I just want to know if you brought Rogers with you.
Rogers is a homebody.
Well, it's good to see you, Tim, and I appreciate the question. And I think that, probably for all teams, going into a bowl prep, when you do have as much time as you have, it's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing, because then you start trying to recreate so many different things and add this, and then over the course of 3 weeks, you looked up and you've added a lot of things offensively that's not who you are. It's not your bread and butter. I think through it all, I think both sides, everybody will have the bread and butter and the foundation who they are, of what they're really good at, what their players can do, and then you try to have a few curveballs off of it. And so I think there's definitely some thought process too, and from a practice standpoint, when you practice for nearly a month of, on both sides of the football, doing things that kids get excited about, and kids get excited about, trick plays. They get excited about new wrinkles, and and so I think you have to have a good balance of that. But you also, like you said at the end, is what gives your football team the best opportunity to win the game. And I think that you always have to be mindful of the time that you have in terms of preparation and being efficient with it and using it on things that are going to help you win. Thank you, guys.